Nina, known for her observant nature and her strong sense of fairness, noticed a pattern at Sunny Meadow Park. There was a boy, a bit older than her, named Alex, who often seemed to disrupt the games and interactions of other children. He would snatch toys, make unkind remarks, and sometimes even push others. The younger kids often scattered when they saw him approaching, their laughter replaced by a tense silence. Most of the adults in the park would simply tell Alex to be nice or scold him briefly, but the behavior continued. Nina felt a knot of unease whenever she witnessed these interactions. It wasn't just that Alex was being mean. There seemed to be something else going on beneath the surface, a kind of restless energy, a simmering frustration that seemed to spill out onto others. One afternoon, Nina saw Alex trying to take a little girl's kite. The girl started to cry, and her older brother stepped in, his voice stern. Alex, instead of apologizing, just scowled and walked away, kicking at a nearby tree. Instead of joining the other children who whispered about how mean Alex was, Nina found herself feeling a flicker of curiosity. Why was Alex acting this way? Was he simply a bad kid, or was there something more to his behavior? Driven by her desire to understand, Nina started to observe Alex more closely. She noticed that he often seemed to be alone. He rarely joined in group games and would sometimes sit by himself on a bench, looking withdrawn and even a little sad. She also noticed that his clothes were often a bit worn, and he sometimes seemed to flinch when other children bumped into him. One day, Nina saw Alex sitting alone under the big oak tree, sketching furiously in a notebook. His brow was furrowed, and he seemed completely absorbed. Hesitantly, Nina approached him. "Hi, Alex," she said quietly. Alex looked up, startled. His expression immediately hardened. "What do you want?" he asked defensively. Nina held up her hands in a non-threatening gesture. "I just saw you drawing. It looked interesting." Alex hesitated for a moment, then looked back down at his notebook. Nina waited patiently. After a while, he reluctantly showed her his drawing, a fierce, swirling storm with jagged lightning bolts. "Wow," Nina said honestly, "that's really powerful. It looks angry." Alex shrugged. "It's just a drawing," but Nina sensed something in his tone, a hint of the same frustration she had seen in his interactions with other children. Over the next few days, Nina made small, gentle attempts to connect with Alex. She would offer a quiet hello when she saw him alone, or make a neutral comment about something happening in the park. Slowly, Alex's initial defensiveness began to soften, replaced by a wary curiosity. One afternoon, Nina found Alex sitting on the bench, looking particularly glum. A group of other children were playing nearby, their laughter echoing in the air. Alex watched them with a distant expression. Nina sat down a little ways away from him. After a few moments of silence, she said softly, "It looks like you wish you were playing with them." Alex scoffed, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes that suggested she might be right. "They wouldn't want me there," he muttered. "They don't like me." "Why do you say that?" Nina asked gently. Alex hesitated, then mumbled, Because I'm not nice to them." "But why aren't you nice to them, Alex?" Nina persisted, her voice kind and non-judgmental. Alex looked down at his hands, picking at a loose thread on his jacket. After a long pause, he began to speak, his voice low and hesitant. He talked about feeling left out, about feeling like other kids didn't want to play with him. He spoke about a tough situation at home that made him feel angry and frustrated inside, like that storm in his drawing. Hurting other kids, he admitted, sometimes made him feel a little bit better, like he had some control over his feelings, even though it didn't last. Nina listened intently, her heart going out to Alex. She realized that his behavior wasn't just about being mean, it was a way of expressing his own pain and frustration, a misguided attempt to feel powerful when he felt powerless in other areas of his life. "It sounds like you have a big storm inside you, Alex," Nina said softly, echoing his drawing. "But hurting other people doesn't make the storm go away, does it? It probably just makes things worse for everyone, including you." Alex nodded slowly, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. Nina knew that simply understanding Alex's reasons wasn't enough. He needed help to manage his feelings and learn better ways to interact with others. she decided to talk to some of the adults in the park, not to get Alex in trouble, but to help them understand what might be going on. She approached Mrs. Gable, the kind elderly woman who often observed the children. Nina explained what she had learned about Alex, his loneliness, and his struggles. Mrs. Gable listened with a thoughtful expression. "You know, dear," she said, "sometimes children who act out are the ones who need the most kindness and understanding. They may not know how to express their pain in healthy ways." Nina also spoke to Mr. Thompson, the park supervisor, sharing her observations and suggesting that perhaps someone could talk to Alex and offer him support. Together, Nina, Mrs. Gable, and Mr. Thompson approached Alex's parents, not with accusations, but with concern. They gently shared what they had observed and suggested that Alex might be going through a difficult time. Initially, Alex's parents were defensive, but as Nina and the others shared their observations and their genuine concern for Alex's well-being, they began to listen more openly. They admitted that things had been tough at home lately and that Alex had been acting out more. They agreed to seek some support for him. Over the following weeks, Nina continued to befriend Alex, offering him quiet companionship and including him in small, low-pressure activities. She encouraged other children to give him a chance, explaining that maybe he wasn't being mean on purpose, but because he was hurting inside. It wasn't an instant transformation. There were still times when Alex's storm seemed to brew, and he would lash out. But slowly, with the support of his parents, some understanding from the other children, and Nina's consistent kindness, Alex began to find healthier ways to cope with his feelings. He started talking more about what was bothering him, and he even began to join in some of the group games, albeit tentatively at first. Nina noticed that as Alex felt more accepted and learned to express his emotions in words rather than actions, the storm inside him seemed to subside. His drawings in his notebook started to feature calmer scenes, still skies and steady trees. The tension in his face softened, and he even began to smile occasionally. The other children, seeing this change, started to include Alex more willingly. They learned that sometimes, those who seem the hardest to like are the ones who need kindness the most. Nina realized that understanding the reasons behind someone's behavior, even negative behavior like bullying, was the first step towards helping them change. By looking beyond the surface and offering empathy and support, she had helped Alex begin to heal and had fostered a little more understanding and compassion within her community. The boy with the storm inside was slowly learning to find sunshine. Lessons learned. Bullying behavior often stems from underlying pain, frustration, or a feeling of powerlessness. Alex's actions were linked to difficulties at home and feelings of being left out. Understanding the reasons behind someone's behavior can lead to more effective and compassionate responses. Nina's curiosity and observation helped her see beyond Alex's mean actions. Kindness, empathy, and consistent support can help individuals struggling with difficult emotions learn healthier ways to cope. Nina's friendship and the community's understanding played a role in Alex's change. It's important to involve adults and seek professional help when dealing with bullying behavior, both for the person being bullied and the person who is bullying. Nina's conversations with Mrs. L. Gable, Mr. Thompson, and Alex's parents were crucial. Creating a more inclusive and understanding community can help prevent bullying by addressing the underlying needs of individuals who might be struggling. The other children learning to give Alex a chance contributed to a positive change. Call to action. Think about the times you've seen or heard about someone being unkind or bullying others. Observe. Try to see beyond the surface behavior. Could there be reasons why someone is acting that way? Empathize. Imagine how that person might be feeling inside. Could they be hurting, lonely, or struggling with something? Reach out, safely. If it feels safe to do so, consider offering a kind word or a moment of connection. Sometimes, just knowing someone cares can make a difference. Speak up, responsibly. If you witness bullying, don't be afraid to speak up against it or to tell a trusted adult. Be inclusive. Make an effort to include those who might be left out or seem to be struggling. Small acts of kindness can create a more welcoming environment for everyone. Just like Nina, we can all play a role in creating a more understanding and compassionate community. By looking beyond the surface, offering empathy, and seeking help when needed, we can help those who are struggling and work towards stopping bullying behavior. Remember that everyone deserves to feel safe and accepted. If you found Nina's story insightful and learned about understanding and stopping bullying, please like this video and share it with others. Leave a comment below about your thoughts on bullying and how we can create kinder communities. Subscribe to Adventures of Nina for more stories about empathy and making a positive difference in the lives of others. Let's all work together to build a world where everyone feels safe and valued. Thank you for watching.